So, is the Morrigan a fertility goddess? This is something you will occasionally see people saying. I just ran into a conversation about this yesterday on Reddit, and it is something that at least one author, Mary Herbert, kind of forwards. But my personal opinion, I really don't think it is something that can be supported. If we look at her older stories, if we look at sort of the original material around the Morrigan, she is very clearly associated with war, battle, success in cattle raids, prophecy, things along those lines, battle magic, actually assorted different types of magic. But really, nothing in her stories or in what we know about her historically leans into her being connected to fertility. When we're talking about fertility in relation to deities, we're generally kind of talking about two different kinds. There is the human fertility, which is something we see today associated with Brigid, mostly because of stories around the saint, but nonetheless, they've kind of been absorbed into the goddess folklore. And secondly, we have fertility of crops and livestock. And that is something we would see associated with, say, like Anya in Ireland, because she has explicit associations with different stages of crop growth and with the harvest. So when we look at the Morrigan, we just don't see any of those associations or connections. It's just not something in her stories. Do some modern people apply that to her? Yes, but usually through this very convoluted process, which is the same thing that Herbert uses, where the Morrigan is associated with sovereignty, not explicitly in her stories, but I think that is sort of a safe assumption to make. She's associated with sovereignty, and therefore she's associated with the earth, and therefore she is associated with the fertility of the earth. But to me, that is making a couple leaps of logic that are really not necessarily supported. I'm also not a big fan of the sort of James Frazer Golden Bough approach that says any goddess connected to the earth in any way must be a fertility goddess. I don't think those two things are always as neatly aligned as Frazer tried to make it sound. And also, I do think we need to be really cautious when it comes to the Irish gods. They don't fit into that deity of X kind of thing. It's just not a paradigm that works well with the Irish deities. We can say that certain things are more associated with particular deities, but sort of the idea of like goddess of fertility, not really a thing in the Irish pantheon. And even outside of that, looking at those associations, we just don't find that connection with the Morrigan.